Welcome, guys. Welcome to the show. Well, listen, I want to talk about Bitcoin for a minute this morning. Bitcoin is very dynamic. Now, when I'm talking about Bitcoin, I'm actually talking about all the cryptocurrencies. And what I mean by dynamic is things I might have said about the cryptocurrencies in the past. I'm watching the situation as it's developing. And what I do is I look at the situation that we have right now, and I try to extend that out into the future and see what's coming in the future and trends that are developing. I have to forget about what I might have thought in the past, because the situation being dynamic, it's constantly moving and boiling, kind of like looking at a pot full of lava. You know, it's constantly changing its perspective and just exactly what's happening. And you're trying to look into that and trying to see how it's going to shape up into the future. So here's the thing. You only get it right about maybe 70% of the time. But that's better than 50-50. Right? When you look into the future and try to figure out what these things are actually going to do. Now, here's the way I see it with cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. I see right now, at this point in time, cryptocurrency being a really big speculative investment. And it's a bit of a fad. And some people think to themselves, hey, you know what? Cryptocurrencies are going to disappear. And they're going to be no more. Because they're just a fad, like the hula hoop. Or like, fads. And if the Federal Reserve and the central banks of the earth have been good custodians of the fiat currencies and not overprinted them and have kept them, done it the proper way and not created a giant Ponzi scheme like what they've done, then cryptocurrencies would have never probably found their place into the world right now. They would have been just a novelty that nobody would have used because people would have had something better to use, which would have been fiat currencies, which would maintain their value and be a good store of value and everything else. But that's not the world that we live in. In the world that we live in right now, the central banks of Earth have absolutely, I cannot even begin to put it into words, how bad custodians they've been of the fiat currencies and how they have destroyed the fiat currencies. The United States dollar, since 1913 till now, has lost over 98% of its buying power. And I can tell you that that's an absolute certainty. Back around 1940, they used to give a kid a penny. Like, adults would give a kid a penny, and a kid would be glad to get a penny, because with a penny they could go out and buy what's called penny candies. Now, this was only back around 1940. The dollar had already lost 50% or a good chunk of its buying power by 1940s. But it still had a lot more buying power than it has now. And you could go out and buy a penny candy. Right? My father told me about, and all of these penny candies, guess what? They were the same size as our chocolate bars are now, because what they've done is they've taken the old size chocolate bar. It used to be, I remember when I was a kid, it was a dime. It was like about yay long, and they've shrunk it down to this. It's the same size as the old penny candies used to be. They must think we're a bunch of fools. What they do is they've shrunk the chocolate bars down so they're one bite size now at this point. And then they bring out a mega size, giant family size chocolate bar, and it's the same size we used to get to the regular chocolate bar. So now you've got to eat about 3 of these little chocolate bars to equal what used to be getting an old normal size chocolate bar. And now they sell the family size. They're pulling garbage like this on us constantly. You know? But here's the thing. Your normal size chocolate bar now costs, well, here in Canada, it's like $1.80 or something like that. And a small chocolate bar, real small one's like $1 here in Canada. Now, down in the States, they're probably 69 cents or something like that for the real small chocolate bar. But the thing's only this big. It's like a one-bite chocolate bar. You know, one big bite. And here's the thing, is this is like 69 cents now. So that's 69 times the price of the old penny candy. It's the same size as the penny candy. And this kind of reflects this inflation that we've had, this tremendous amount of inflation that we've had. You can see it right in gasoline prices. I remember 10-cent gasoline, a gallon. I remember it. Now, let's do multiples of 10 cents. 10 times to $1. And what's gasoline in the States right now? Like $3? I don't know. See, I know what we pay here. It's by the liter, and they charge like $1.10 a liter, which there's 4 liters to a gallon. So that's like, what, $4.40 a gallon? So I don't know what it's going for down in the States, right? I know it's cheaper in the States than it is here. So I know it's, I'm not exactly sure what the price in the States is for gasoline right now, but I know it's cheaper. But still, if you take that and you go look at what it used to be, 10 cents a gallon, and look at what it is now, you can see the reflection in your inflation. You can see your inflation. So all of this taken into consideration, they haven't been good custodians of the fiat currencies. And now what's making it even worse is the Chinese have got a long-term plan to destroy the dollar as the world reserve currency. And this is going to have a tremendous effect on the world reserve currency, and this is going to make people distrust fiat currencies tremendously, more than they do now. So right now we have a certain amount of trust. Let's call that trust level 50% trust level. Let's call it that, right? And we can see that at a 50% trust level, we have a driver behind the cryptocurrencies that has driven them into a certain degree of adoption, to the point where there's a lot of a speculative market. That's what the 50% trust level in fiat has driven the cryptocurrencies to where they are now, to be in roughly a between $300 and $400 billion market capital, but mostly speculative. Okay? What happens when that trust level of 50% that they have now? See, they used to have like an 80% or a 90% trust level in fiat currencies. Now it's dwindled down to 50%. Now what happens when it drops down to 40%? People are going to start to not want the fiat currencies anymore. What happens when it drops down to 30%? Well, they'll be trying to get rid of them as fast as they can. What are they going to be getting rid of them for? What else is there out there other than precious metals and cryptocurrencies? This is the driver behind cryptocurrencies. This is the reason why cryptocurrencies, when the dollar falls, and we're heading straight toward a situation where the dollar is going to lose its world reserve currency status. This is going to topple all of the fiat currencies, and of course these fiat currencies are, some of them, if not a lot of them, are going to go into a hyperinflationary scenario or an extreme inflation scenario, something like what Venezuela's been through for the last couple of years. When these fiat currencies are not trusted anymore, this is going to be the driver behind the cryptocurrencies, to drive the cryptocurrencies into adoption. Not only that, there's another driver. I've used cryptocurrencies for a long time, and right now they are a fad, and they are a market that's totally speculative, because there's not that much uses for them, use case scenarios. But I've used them for a long time, and I can tell you right now that cryptocurrency, as in my experience with it, has never failed a transaction. I've sent a lot of microtransactions back and forth between wallets. I got so many stuff, like when I'm mining, I would send a few coins here to this wallet and a few to that wallet and stuff, you know, back when I was mining. And I used to mine on not on an industrial scale or anything like that, but on a personal level. I used to do it for fun. It was a hobby of mine, mining cryptocurrencies. And a lot of the cryptocurrencies I mined have passed by the wayside. I mined one that was called, about that rapper guy. I can't think of his name right now, but it was a coin about him. And I mined like a whole bunch of them, and they went out of business and they became worthless. A lot of my coins I mined, this and that. But anyway, I did some mining, and I used to send a lot of transactions with cryptocurrencies. And I'm going to tell you, a transaction with cryptocurrency will never fail. You can lose your fiat currency. A $20 bill can fall out of your pocket and blow off in the wind and get caught in a tree over there, and the birds can use it for a nest. You can lose it, but you never lose cryptocurrency. You can send a transaction to a wallet address, provided you copy-paste your wallet address and you check the first two and the last two numbers. Right? You send that out to a wallet address, and as long as you've got that data file on the other end, you can leave that money in the internet, floating around in the internet for 10 years, 20 years. It's just floating around in the internet, that money. And you've got the other end of the transaction, and so as soon as you open that wallet and sync it up, bingo, the money flies into the thing, and it'd been floating around the internet for like gosh knows how long. It's the strangest stuff, but it never fails a transaction. And so I know, not only that, the speed of transactions. Maybe not so much with Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is a bottleneck in it. 7 transactions per second is a bottleneck for Bitcoin. And this is why I'm saying for the people out there, your time is coming. Cryptocurrency, somewhere probably in the next 6 months to 8 months, is going to undergo an enormous crash because it's a speculative market. And it hasn't had mass adoption yet. What's going to do is it's going to go through the crash, it's going to come out the other side, and it's going to start to go into mass adoption, because at that point, the fiat currencies are going to start to die. And that's going to be the driver for mass adoption. So you've got your chance here to make yourself $1 million in cryptocurrency. If you hit it at the bottom of the crash and you buy the cryptocurrencies that are going to be adopted probably more than Bitcoin. Bitcoin's going to lose its dominance coming up. Right now it's at like 42% Bitcoin dominance. It's going to drop down to the 30s and then the 20s. And in the end, it's probably going to keep dropping and dropping as these other alternative coins become more and more popular. And one of the ones I think is going to become very popular is Litecoin. Litecoin is already setting itself up. It's already a lot faster than Bitcoin. And it can handle a lot more transactions. Litecoin is looking good. Bitcoin Cash is looking good. There's a number of them that are looking good, and Dash is looking really good, because if they can get that Evolution wallet completed, there's a number of them that are looking really good, and they're gonna suck up more of the market capital. And as this driver comes in and they come into mass adoption, these cryptocurrencies, you're gonna see stores and stuff starting to take them. Quite literally, places that where you can't spend them now will start to say, hey, we want to get on the bandwagon. And they're going to start, and they're not just with Bitcoin. Like on the first wave coming through, a few stores like it escapes my mind. I had a brain fart, okay? But a few stores started to take, but they would only take Bitcoin. But when this next wave coming through, when it's more mass adoption, they'll have multiple coins that they take. So you'll be able to pay in multiple different coins, and they'll actually start taking these coins. I think some of the smarter store owners will keep some of the coins rather than transfer them right back into the ecosystem for cash. There's probably going to be an option on there for the store owners, but they'll probably still have that ability to instantaneously transfer to cash. It's simple thing for the new pay companies that do this work with the store owners. It's like a go-between. So what they do is they set up like BitPay or something like that, And then what happens is that acts as a go-between, then converts it into cash. That's the way it works now, and they only do Bitcoin. After a while, they'll do a multitude of different coins, and they'll give the store owner the option whether he wants cash or he wants the coins he's actually getting. They'll have an option button on there for him. And a lot of the store owners will forget the cash then, because cash is going to be going down so quick then at that point, when we get to that point of mass adoption. So this is where we're heading with all this. And listen, thank you guys for listening. I wanted to get this little show out there. I'm going to stay right online here. I'm going to do the market report. Coming right up. Bye-bye for now.